I actually, for about a year, I was abusing steroids. So if you can imagine the Drew of back then, here's a guy today that's, fit, 175, 80 pounds right now. I was upwards of 230 pounds.
That's a bit of juice.
Competed, around 200. So it's a different guy altogether. And so
now as you look back on that, now after, doing the work we've done and stuff, are you seeing, I think what you're driving at is how you can now see that. I mean,
yes.
Most people call these things their passions, but they're actually trying to overcome something.
Right.
And I think what you're saying is you felt small and insignificant. So what did you do? You tried to become big and powerful.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
I know this to be a fact that, and this isn't to be disparaging, but most bodybuilders, the reason they're in it is they've been abused either sexually or emotionally. And that's why they do it. Men or women, both sides, they're trying to compensate for what they went through. Now, they may say they love it, but I know they're exercising this cycle, just like me with sports. Listen to every single athlete describe why they play the sport. Listen to the emotions they use to describe it. You're going to learn all about their childhood and what they're trying to reconcile. Everyone in their profession, listen to the emotions that they use to describe why they love it. And you're going to understand the void they're trying to fill. And what breaks my heart is it doesn't mean it's bad, but in a lot of cases, people are working against themselves, like I found. All my careers worked against me. We just aren't aware of it,
Yeah. And I'm not trying to go into this big old bio about me, but I'm putting in things because as time went on, I realized a few things. I put myself through that, you're right, to take myself from being insignificant to being bigger, right, to being stronger, okay, to fill those voids, to have people look at me because I was more than average. I realized all those things along the way. But and the anger that I had too continued on for a lot of years. I got involved in kickboxing. I was a bouncer back in the day when there were actually bouncers in actually the Hollywood area. Had a kind of a violent little spell there for a bit, and actually at that time enjoyed it because I was able to express myself. Now it's very vague and paints the picture, but when I look back at all those things, I realized today that it was to fill the void, to not feel insignificant, to basically counteract some of those things that happened in my childhood where I was pigeonholed into something that should have never happened. Yeah. So as time went on, though,
did it work?
Go ahead.
I said, did it work?
Did what work with all that stuff?
Yeah. Did it work? No. It doesn't work.
No. No. Never worked. It was the moments of glory, the moments of feeling euphoria were so short-lived, they're insignificant.
Yeah.
They were there.
Yeah.
They were there. Absolutely. Go ahead.
It's all right. Keep going.
Yeah. So what I was going to get to next is I'd always been battling and agonizing, and so I started to get involved with doing self-help. I did go to therapists, actual psychologists here, psychiatrists. I started reading a lot, mostly things that have to do with affirmations and managing my feelings and managing my thoughts. I started on that early on, and then I realized that I wanted to and had to figure out what my strengths were. My strengths were I was fantastic as a work-related, emotionally related. I am fantastic in sprints, not a marathon. I do really, really well in shorter bursts. Once I figured that out, things started to change. So my backstory, I want to kind of end right now and go to what happened at the time when you and I started going through our sessions, getting to know each other and things of that nature. And what I found was I lost the ability to be able to manage all these things.
I remember that was basically the first thing you said when you walked in. Is
Yep.
I've had a skill set that I've used to kind of keep things in their place and deal with them emotionally as they come up, and it's no longer working. And I'm out of sorts. I don't know what to do because I can't control the emotions that are coming up.
Right. You're exactly right. And if you recall, it was this, I was having just this tidal wave of just emotions happening that were everything from just depression and sadness with happiness and distraction. And it was just, I like I said, I remember saying to you very clearly, I've lost the ability to be able to manage this, and I literally feel paralyzed.
What got you in our work? What got you to get? What were the tools you feel? Is there 1, 2, 3, 5 tools you feel like you got that give you that ability on a level you never had before?
Well, the thing I realized is the biggest thing I realized, the biggest tool that I got out of it was when things are happening, like for example with my mother, or perhaps with my spouse, or an interaction with a client or what have you. What I realized is that some of those behaviors where I thought I was the one that was in control and I thought I was the one that was responsible, I had realized that it wasn't me at all. It was on them. And one of the things and tools that we talked about was you had brought up and analyzed some of the things that I was saying. You said, you feel this way, but you have to realize that is on them. They are projecting that on you because they need to fill whatever emotion that they need to handle. That was one of the tools.
I think what you're saying is I remember conversations about, going to see your parents. Right. And how your mom would describe how she felt. And you felt responsible for whether she was having a good day, a bad day. And you weren't aware that was shifting your self-concept, your mood, and everything was, you felt responsible because she had made you responsible for years. She co-opted the whole family in to, if I'm out of whack, it's because of you guys, and you guys have to fix this. And we get trained at that. It becomes so subtle, we're not even aware that it's operating. And so my recollection was, as you brought in these things, I go, these are the words and phrases you need to listen for. When it's said like this, when they approach it this way, that's when you can put your boundary up and go, wow, my mom is exposing herself to me. I don't have to play into this. I don't have to respond. I don't have to do anything. My mom's just sharing with me how hurt she is. She's trying to manipulate me. I don't have to argue and throw it in her face. I can just go, wow, so this is my mom. Isn't that interesting? Right. I don't have to hate her for it. It's just, wow, I'm finally seeing my mom for who she is. She's broken, hurt, manipulative, and she's trying to get me to take care of her. Isn't she wonderful? But I won't allow myself. I'm an adult now, and it's her job to take care of herself. It's not my responsibility. And if she doesn't want to, that's fine. I won't hate her for it, but I also won't pick up the baton for her. It's her job.
And to keep it very simple too. That's another tool that I've actually shared with other people, not to become their therapist, but just I phrase it as, here is what I've learned. Yeah. And, here's what I've learned from me. So and I've also learned, I'm not going to give somebody my, it's my job, to help them through. It's their job to help them through. And if they need additional, assistance, they should see a professional. Yeah. So it's not my job, actually, that short little term helped out tremendously, because I felt like it was my job to do all these things. And here's the irony. Let's let everybody know out there. There are people that say, oh, they moved 2 miles from your house, no big deal. Right, to retire. Here's the backstory. I pretty much disconnected from them and had minimal contact with them, and was not involved in their daily lives since the age of 20. I'm 47. So I've had this very detached relationship with them. And so if you can imagine how that would feel to have a very detached relationship, even though I have one, but I had 600 miles to, to keep the buffer there. And now they're 2 miles away. So that right there in itself was just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? But I realized that it's not my job. It isn't. And I'm no longer going to allow myself to feel guilty or shameful or even fearful for not doing things or being influenced by comments or scenarios. Yeah. I'm not going to be held hostage anymore. I'm not a victim.
That's the hallmark of codependency. You see this all the time, people dating or married and someone's cheating or someone feels the responsibility to tell their best friend this is going on. Right. Because they feel it's their job. Well, you just described it. What that tells me is as a kid, they were made to take care of their parents. And so now it's their responsibility to take care of everybody. And that's loving. Well, no, it's not. Because what you have to realize, and unfortunately people don't know this, but if we've picked a spouse who cheats on us, we wanted that.
Right.
And there was, oh no, I didn't want that. Well, sure you did. If you read through my book and went through the process, you'd see every single person we pick to teach us about ourselves. And so I had a great conversation with a couple ladies about this last week. And the reason that one of the ladies there were two ladies and one told the other one something that went on. And I asked her why. And she said, well, it's just the right thing to do. And plus I've been carrying it for a long time. And if I'm her friend, that's what I'm supposed to do. And I said, wait a minute. You've been carrying it for a long time. Tell me more about that. You see, she felt the weight of carrying this secret. She wanted to get rid of it. It was eating her alive. So under the guise of being a loving, kind friend, she dumped this information onto her friend. It wasn't kind and loving for her friend. She was clearing her conscience of it. And now her friend who knew nothing about it, now her life was all in turmoil over it. Well, that's codependency. This other person gets to decide if they want to know that information or not. And so like you brought up earlier, like even with me, my clients, like I had to learn this. I used to tell everybody what to do. And I asked my therapist, I said, Mike, so when do you give advice? And he goes, Kenny, there's only 2 times. When somebody asks you for it, but even then you got to think about it because most of the time, even when they ask, they don't really want it. So think that through. If you give it, are you okay if they don't follow it? So make sure you make that determination. And he says the only other place is when you pay somebody for it. So like my clients pay me for my advice, but even then, I know there's a time and place with my clients where they're not ready for it either. And I allow them, there'll be a time when they come in and I know they're like, I want the answer. But a lot of times in the beginning, they're still not quite ready for it. And a trust needs to be built and things like that. So you allow them to walk into the answer. It's much more powerful when they find it on their own.
For anybody. Yeah. Look, that's another thing I've learned. When you find out and the light bulb goes on or the switch is switched upward and it happens for you, you could have somebody sharing and impressing upon their opinion on you for years and years and years. But until you decide that you're ready and that you're open to it, it doesn't make a difference. It's just noise.
That's denial. And I want to talk a little bit about denial.
Let's talk about denial because I was horrifically in denial for a lot of years and then mildly in denial. And to say that any of us are not in denial at any given time is ridiculous. But
how were you in denial when we started working together, and what do you think you ended up confronting?
Well, we covered quite a bit, and it's like light bulbs and switches went off for me pretty quickly.